Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. Today I am joining in on hashtag JJ3under30, which is an open collab being hosted by Margreth at Seven Plaza and Crafty by Tony. And I will link both of their channels in the title. And for this, I'm going to make seed packets. Not technically for a junk journal, but actually yes, you could put it in a junk journal if you're tracking your planting or saving your seeds and want to journal about them. So actually I take it back, this is fully junk journalable. Now when I get to the actual make, I'm just showing you the things that I will be using at the moment, but when I get to the actual make I will speed it up ×2, but I think in the end I did it in about maybe 31 minutes. There was a bit of an issue near the end and there was a little bit of a faff and stuff, but I think it was about 31 minutes. So it's getting to that time of the year where I look at my flowers and I say to my husband, "Are those buds?" And he says, "No, Tiff, those are seed pods. Do you want me to harvest them for you?" And I say, "Yes, please." And I skip off to make some seed packets to put them in once they're dried, and then I plant them in the spring next year. And then I have a lovely surprise because I don't know what they are, because I don't label anything, and my toxic trait is thinking I have some kind of a memory and absolutely do not have a self-diagnosed object permanence disorder. So to make seed packets, it's basically the same as making a coin envelope, but you do have to be a little bit careful that there's no kind of escape hatches for the seeds to fall out. But what you could also do is pop them in like a smaller vellum envelope or maybe a little plastic like Ziploc type thing, but I'm not sure how I feel about putting seeds in a plastic thing and whether it might ruin them somehow. But anyway, you just want to make sure that the little blighters can't escape, especially if you are going to gift them to somebody. And making a coin envelope is super easy. You just fold the two sides in of your page, of your bit of paper, so that they're overlapping a bit. Doesn't really matter what the size of the paper is. Fold the bottom up a bit and the top down, then chop off the square corners just at a little angle, which I believe is called mitering. And then before you glue it together, if you are partial to an inking, then ink up your edges and cut the top flap into the shape of your choice, whether that's rounded, squared, heart-shaped, whatever, and then ink that as well. And then you just glue your long sides over, like fold them over, and glue your bottom flap up again, just making sure you're not leaving any gaps in the corners. So you can see me making those now. So I've made the actual construct, I'm just going to ink them up and then I will glue them down, so you can just watch me doing that. you can do a bit of decorating, and I like making them look like sort of vintage seed packets, which is why I like to use the book pages that I have done. So it's like a vintage flower book, herbal book, inspired by Edith Holden. I think it's got bits of Edith Holden in, but it's not actually the Edith Holden book. And then I've got my actual Edith Holden book, and then the other page is the biography or autobiography, whichever one it is. She didn't write it, but it's of Edith Holden's life. So yeah, they're all kind of Edith Holden-y style. And then I like to use some of those sort of vellum-y, washi type stickers. Put little vintage style labels on, which you will absolutely remember to label with the name of the flower and maybe even the date that you harvested them. Now, I don't really know flower names, but luckily I have both a husband who does, and my iPhone camera also tends to tell me as well. Plus you can get those plant identifier apps, which I do have, but the camera is quicker and pretty accurate. But all of that is redundant when I forget to write it down. And then once all the decorating is done, then you just need a suitable closure. Sometimes just a piece of washi tape is handy. It will keep it down till next year, but if you do keep pulling it off and on again to keep resealing and opening the packet, then it will lose its stick pretty quickly. So you do have a few options. You can make some paper or card circles and just glue the bottom half and hook the top flap into it. You could stick a brad in a cut out piece of card and make it stick it in kind of off center so that it spins around and hooks the top flap in. You could wrap a piece of fabric around it. You could stick some circles a little bit raised off of the flap and just below, and wrap some twine around it and tie it around in like a figure of 8. I think that's called a policy closure. Whatever you want, just be careful if you're putting holes in that the seeds don't come out. So you might want to think about closures in advance. I definitely did not. And cover anything like that up on the inside with some washi or masking tape before you glue it all together. Or what you could do is, if you are gifting it and if you have one, you could do a wax seal on it. It won't keep it closed once it's been opened, but it will give it a little bit of pizzazz. I end up doing one that's just a washi closure, one that's like a brad spinny thing, and one with a figure of 8 and some twine that I raise up with some foam tape. So when I got to about 25 minutes, my phone ran out of storage. So I had to pause my timer for a bit so I could offload some apps and finish recording. So there's a little bit of a weird cut shortly. And then in the last 5 minutes, I was doing my closures and I was having a faff about with the foam squares to get the covering off of them. So I think I went over by about a minute, if that. So not too bad really. But I've just used the squares that I cut out of the pages earlier, I've just punched some circles out of those and used the pretty bits as the kind of top, and then I used those to put the closures on. And this is where I think to myself, I probably should have thought about what I was going to do as closures before I actually glued them down, because I can't get a hole through them, but I end up just managing to stick the brad through anyway and getting in. And then it was a pain to split open the legs of the brad because I couldn't see them, so I couldn't see which way around they were, so I was having to fiddle about and guess there. So I got it down there. So as you can see, very quickly, as you can see there, I put the brad off center, so then you can, and I'll show it properly in a second, but then you can spin the circle around and it hooks the flap down when it's closed, and then obviously you can spin it around to open it. I'll just let you watch the rest of me doing this. So I actually forgot how to do the policy envelope things. I think actually what you should do is put brads in and then you can wrap the twine around, but I forgot. So I ended up using foam squares, putting that on, and then after I finished recording, I was kind of rushing at this point because I knew time was running out. And then here is where oh no, it's not, this is where I show you it all. Yes, I just wrap the twine around, but afterwards I do actually tie it up and make it a bit neater. So this is the washi opening one. So as you can see, it keeps it closed, but it won't keep it closed forever. This is the spinny brad one, and that just opens like that. And the other one is the twine one. So I hope you enjoyed watching my 3 under 30 seed packets. Please let me know in the comments what you think, and if you did enjoy it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for coming along to watch me. I'll be back again soon with something else, and in the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your day. Check out the hashtag hashtag JJ3under30, and I will be back soon. Bye.